Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another The Next Level Live. This week, we're going to hop right into agent recognition. This week, for our agent spotlight, we featured Scotty Rapp with FFL Exclusive. Scotty is being recognized for helping 620 families year to date. Great work, Scotty. This week, for My Story, we featured agent Michael DeSecco with FFL Timeless. Michael is being recognized for helping 400 families. Great work, Michael. This week, we have 2 members to induct into our Annuity Hall of Fame. A big congrats to first-timer Jesse Hantla with FFL Primetime. And congrats to Steven Steelman, also a first-timer with FFL Epiphany. We also have 11 agents to induct into our Personal Production Hall of Fame this morning. A big congrats to first-timer Christian Spencer with FFL Foundation Capital. Congrats to first-timer Corbin Broadway with FFL Distinction. Congrats to first-timer Adam Chidell with FFL Trident Life. Big congrats to second-timer Nat DiCarlo with FFL Resonate. Big congrats to first-timer Chet LeVay with FFL Trident Life. Congratulations to first-timer Randall Baum with FFL Republic. Big congrats to second-timer Serge Pawnee with FFL Vortex. Congratulations to second-timer Daniel Hatcher with FFL Provision. Another big congrats for first-timer Joseph Gandenberger with FFL Northeast. And congrats to first-timer Derek Thrasher with FFL Execute. Great work, everyone. Don't miss out on our biggest event of the year. Register today for the 2024 Annual Convention in Irving, Texas. There are limited tickets available, so don't wait. You can also purchase premier seating tickets that put you front and center to the action. Top agent speakers, keynote speakers, and a chance to win free leads. All proceeds go to the Dream Center. Check it all out at fflconvention.com. All right, coming up next, we've got Pressure Point with Sean Mike and Inside the Sale with Tyler Sagal. Enjoy.
Are you selling fixed index annuities? Is your team selling fixed index annuities? Are you helping people protect their retirement? We have middle American clients that we serve. Our job is to protect them, right, with life insurance products. What most people miss out on is not helping them protect, preserve their retirement. If your clients are 50 and above, and I'm talking about traditional, just, your FIAs, they're not variable. You take money to the market, you protect it, no downside market risk. There is upside advantage. The market swings up. Products sell themselves. Are you an investor or a saver? I'm a saver. How much money are you losing? Would you like to stop losing money? You have anything else that acts like life insurance? All those questions you start talking about. You have to get around people at our company that are helping people out, because number one, they're helping clients protect, and they're making more money for themselves. And the products are such an unbelievable product as it pertains to them staying in the books, because the vast majority of them, 99% of those, they send the books. There's people taking their own money. They're not being charged. They're putting it into something else over here to protect it. You're not promising them any kind of crazy, unbelievable return on it where they're going to get rich overnight. You don't do that. They're not variable products. You don't even have a securities license to sell them. They're fixed index annuities. You get the illustration. You make sure they're suitable. So the company actually runs suitability to say, is Tom going to benefit from moving his money here over to here? If Tom's not going to benefit, they can't move the money. But a lot of people are missing out. We have 3,900 agents writing a life insurance policy every single week, with about 200 agents writing an annuity. If you're with us, you should be asking about fixed index annuities. If this is your first year finding out about it, check out our boot camp, get in a Thursday Simple Retirement Solutions calls, get with people out there doing it, find them online. Hell, reach out to corporate if you haven't heard about it, and we'll enlighten you and get you trained. You don't want to miss out on all the quadrants where you're helping people with their mortgage section, whether that's with a return of premium, or with a simplified issue, IUL, IULE, final expense. They're older. They're trying to make sure those bills are covered, cremation, funeral, legacy, leaving some money to somebody. You're more traditional. You see a lot of the IUL business we're writing, and then your fixed indexed annuities. Do not miss any of these quadrants. They're going to help you become more profitable as an agent. They're going to help you service your clients better. You're going to have better relationships with your clients, because the more products you got, the better relationship. So that's it, Pressure Point today. Now's your next level live trainings. Do not forget to ask and start getting involved with fixed index annuities and protecting people's retirements.
Welcome to Inside the Sale. I got my man Ty Sagal in the house today. Did I do that right?
Yes, sir.
See, all you gotta do is correct me once.
Now we're good moving
Yeah,
forward.
we're good moving forward. I have to apologize because we collectively as a company has been saying your name wrong for like 5 years, but
Okay.
hey, we got it right now. It
That's
won't
okay.
happen again. So, dude, we're talking about some sales stuff today, Ty. So, Ty, you've been with us for, is it 5 years now?
Yeah.
And you've hit Hall of Fame twice.
Mm-hmm.
Hit Hall of Fame again this year. And past 2 years, you've been completely virtual, or telesales, remote sales, but telesales.
Correct.
Prior to that, you were in home. When did you make that transition, and what was that like?
I made the transition. It was, I think, last January or February.
Yeah.
Is when I changed.
Okay.
Big reason was because I was running a lot of direct mail
Mm-hmm.
mortgage, and I had a couple different pockets, different areas that I would travel to.
Yeah.
3-4 hours away at times.
Got it.
And the lead flow started to dry up a bit.
Yeah.
So it didn't make sense to keep making those trips when I only had a certain amount of leads
Right.
built up. So I started to just transition to the telesales. I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. How was it? Was it a simple transition? Was it difficult?
dude, it was crazy because there was one time, it was January, it was like, I'm like, I can't drive 6 hours
Yeah.
tomorrow to hit this one lead. Right, obviously.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm not going to let this thing sit for another month
Yeah.
without trying to reach out to him until enough build up to where it makes sense to go.
Right.
So I just literally just called him. Okay, Mike, it's Tyler. Just getting back to you about that form you filled out.
Yeah.
Mortgage protection. Just started talking. I'm like, hey, you got a few minutes right now? We can do this right over the phone. He's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And we went through the entire process. It was one of the easiest
Really?
policies I've ever written. And this was my first attempt at doing telesales.
Yeah.
Essentially. Wrote them up, and I'm like, wait. You can actually do it this way.
Yeah.
You can
Surprised yourself.
I did. And then from there, I just started to gradually kind of
Yeah.
build on it.
Got it. So we say it was a pretty, not seamless, but it was an easy transition for you?
Yeah, I mean, the process is similar
Yeah.
as in home. I think it was more so the systems behind the scenes to be efficient and effective
Got it.
with it.
How long did it take for you to feel like, because that was your first one, you could say, hey, I lucked out, got a good client, whatever. But how long did it take from that point to where you felt like, okay, I'm just as good at telesales as I was in the home?
I would say a couple months. 'Cause
Yeah.
I kind of, one foot in, one foot the other way. That
You were still kind of in the house as well?
yeah, I was kind of in a weird spot. I'm like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Gotcha.
So I kind of sat on it for a bit, and it was 50-50 both.
Yeah.
But then again, I kind of got spread too thin. So I'm like,
Yeah.
the only way I can effectively get this is if I just put them all together, and
Right.
I'm calling over the phone.
Yeah. I mean, because that's you can go, I have a lead issue. I don't have leads in my area. Well, easy solution is telesales, every lead's in your area.
Correct.
As long as you're licensed in that state, right?
Yep.
Like you could be in, you could be in Nashville selling people back home in Wisconsin,
Correct.
or California or Hawaii. There's a guy, Jason Morton, who, and if you haven't checked out that True Talk, check it out. But he's a part-time guy, full-time construction foreman. He does telesales at night. He lives on the East Coast, does telesales at night to people on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's home, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, but it's 3 hours
Yep.
earlier there. So it opens up, a lot more opportunity. But what we really want to talk about today, Ty, is your process, right? Because you've got it figured out. And what I mean by that is you were a top producer when you were in the home. You transitioned to telesales. There's a little learning curve there, but I think now, looking at your numbers, you're helping more families, on an annual basis now than you were when you were in the home. So I would say you got that piece figured out, right?
Yep.
So I'd love for you, Ty, to go through your sales process, what works for you. And that's the key. So this is what works for Ty.
Yep.
Will work for you? Probably, but we don't know. Try it.
Right.
That's kind of the thing, too, when you're working on your sales process. It's not like, let me take Ty's process and copy every single thing he's doing. Because now, if you're brand new, you might want to do that. But if you're already selling, maybe there's pieces you can pull from Ty, pieces you can pull from someone else. So hopefully when he goes through this, you will pick something up because he's effective at it. But if you can kind of take us through, man, I'll just chime in with some
Sure.
questions as we go through this.
Yeah, I think the big thing that you got to understand too, and if what you're doing now is working, don't change it, right?
Right.
But here's what's worked for me. But first, some of the expectations that I had to kind of get rewired in my head coming into telesales is you're going to have to spend more typically over the phone because you want more volume, you want high activity over the phone. What I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of Facebook stuff. So with Facebook, obviously like most people are aware, like if you try to pinpoint an area, try to get leads in that area, it costs more to generate leads in 10 zip codes.
Yep.
But if you open it up to the whole country, the price of the leads going to go down just because you have a much wider range.
Yeah.
So the first piece of it is like I knew like it's going to cost more to get this thing rolling. For one, got to have a lot of leads. Two, licensing. Like this year, I didn't just wake up one day and said I'm going to buy 44 states licenses.
Right.
It like happened gradually as business popped up, got my license, helped them, and I just kept adding on.
Yeah, you see leads in an area, you go, okay, be good spot to get a license.
Correct. So that was a process, upfront investment.
Yeah.
And then some of the software I use, and I'll kind of get into that. But another big expectation that I had to learn and had to be okay with is you're gonna have a higher no-show rate. Mm-hmm. Like typically, what I'm seeing is 50 to 60% no-show.
Yeah, and that's about standard with just about everyone else I've interviewed.
Yeah, it's right around that mark.
Yeah.
Now, the other hurdle you're gonna have over the phone is typically you're gonna have people that are not gonna trust. There's less trust because it's over the phone, especially this time. I mean, you have the AEP, Medicare, all sorts of stuff. These people are getting hit all day, every day.
Yep.
So you got to kind of stand out, be different, right? So that's another big hurdle. And obviously, if you're just transitioning to virtual, there's a big learning curve.
Yeah.
Similar, but again, there are some things that you can kind of navigate and do differently.
Right.
So between those things, like what I'm doing right now for CRM is I use a high-level platform, go high level.
Yeah.
So basically, when somebody fills out a form on Facebook, whether it's, I'm doing a lot of final expense stuff.
Yeah. And you're creating your own leads?
Yeah, we got got someone doing it.
Yeah.
And basically what they do is fill out their information. There's an opt-in button, which is huge now with compliance. You cannot contact somebody without them saying, you can contact me.
Right.
So they opt in and immediately comes to a spreadsheet, and then they're automatically getting a text message saying, hey, we just got your request for information on this. Here's a link. Book a time to speak with me. They don't answer for a day, another text message goes out the next day. And just so on and so forth. And we drip on them for probably 7 different times.
Yeah.
Unless they say stop or X. And we obviously give them the option to opt out.
Right, right.
Now, I currently do have a dialer. I hired a dialer about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Game changer. Didn't always have one. Really never thought of it.
Right.
But it made sense to me just because of the volume of leads I had coming in.
Yeah.
That it made sense for the dialer to actually make it make sense. Right? Like you don't want to get a dialer if you have 10 leads a week.
Right.
If you have 150, 200, 250 leads a week, there's no way that you can physically process them. And I mean, you could, but like you have a lot of other stuff that you got to be doing.
Absolutely.
Talking to
and
clients.
it's like you want to spend your time doing like the most important activity, which is helping the family.
Correct.
Right. You can't get someone else to do that. That's your license. You can get someone else to call.
Yep.
I believe though, and let me know your thoughts on this. I think you should be good at dialing first before you get a dialer. I don't think you can hire and manage a dialer if you've not had that process or you've not got that process figured out yet.
For sure. Absolutely. If you can learn how to dial, get good at it, there's no reason why you shouldn't consider replacing you in that aspect.
Right.
So that you can be doing the...
But that's the key. Get good at it first.
For sure.
Don't start your week one, I'm going to hire a dialer. You don't even know how to train the dialer.
Yep. Correct. So, and what I've been aiming for is I try to get, because basically I spend, my Facebook lead spend, I'm spending about $2,500 to $2,700 a week.
Okay. So
that comes out to about 12 to 13 a month.
Yeah.
Then I have a dialer, which is an extra 2. And then I have a VA, someone that manages all my book of business, making sure business is getting pushed through, making sure people are paying their payments. So basically my run rate it's about 15 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Which again, I was not always doing that. This took time to build up to. There's a lot of stuff that had to get kind of tweaked out.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I've been consistently helping between 40 and 50 families a month.
Yeah.
So the numbers check there.
Right.
But one of the biggest things I like a revelation I almost had was like when I was just dialing and going in person, the way I looked at it was it's like if you're going fishing, right? And you throw one line in the water, you have a chance to catch one fish.
Right.
Now, I know for a fact if you go fishing and your line's not even in the water, you're definitely not catching anything.
Right, yeah.
and that's something with the almost like a disclaimer to people that want to do virtual or telesales is it's like, dude, if you're not dialing the phone or outbounding or talking to people, like, you don't have a job.
Right.
And it's like you wouldn't go to Home Depot to work. I love Home Depot, of course.
Of course you do.
But like if you had a job at Home Depot, you're not going to go there for 8 hours and 2 of the hours sit on your phone and scroll through Instagram.
Right.
Or show up in your jammies. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
So I look at telesales like that, almost like, dude, it's like literally, it's your job. Like, you need to clock in. If during these hours you're outbounding, you're talking to people, you're doing what you have to do to run it. Now, some of the methods I use, like, again, the CRM dialer, and if people are no showing, plug it into my dialer, let my dialer know to reach back out to them, get them on the calendar,
Got it.
set them in a new workflow to where they're getting reminder text, hey, you missed our appointment, schedule again, so on and so forth. But what I was saying about like the fishing thing is the way I approach it now is it's like I'm going on a boat. Like, I'm bringing nets and multiple lines. I'm casting nets. I'm giving myself every opportunity to talk to people that want my help.
Right.
If this dude's being tough to talk to, like, cool. Like, I'm going to go talk to this guy that actually wants my help.
You know when to cut bait.
Exactly. So that's been huge for me.
Yeah.
Getting multiple people coming through at the same time.
And I think Tyler, that makes it has a massive effect on your quality of business too, because I don't believe that people are that shocked when a client cancels a policy. I mean, I could be wrong, but I remember being there and like, I see the number calling. Of course they're going to cancel.
Right.
Because I remember the appointment. I remember I didn't do something right? Or I probably should have walked away. But to your point, if you have one line out, dude, it's hard to cut bait, right? You got you got the fish hook, you can't pull it back in, and you're like, either lose the fishing pole. I don't want to cut it though. I'm gonna keep. But if you got 10 lines out and 3 nets, and someone else is helping you fish, you're like, who cares about that one? Cut it, leave it. Let's just start over.
Correct.
And it's the same thing with the appointment. You have one appointment, you're gonna be desperate, but you'll be in there for 3 hours trying to. But if you have 10 appointments, you're like, oh, this guy's really difficult. He doesn't want it. Hey man, nice to meet you. Don't fill out any more forms, and on to the next one. But you can do that when you have the deck stacked in your favor.
Yeah, and that, like I said, that's the big thing. Is it took me a bit to get to that level of the lead spend, and I'd like to get it back a little bit. But I mean, it's been working.
Yeah.
Right? And another thing I kind of learned as I did this is some of the compliance and rules with these carriers like Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, like they're cracking down on a lot of the spam stuff.
Right.
And obviously we're not spammers, but we are calling people, and so are spammers.
Right.
So there are some tools out there that I've used to basically monitor my numbers, make sure my numbers are coming through clean, make sure I'm not getting flagged to robokiller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's huge because there's nothing more frustrating than having leads and you're calling and it just goes straight to voicemail.
Right.
Like, there's probably an issue on the front end.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's been a big help to make sure you got clean numbers.
Yeah.
And then really my goal each week, and it's pretty standard, is I'll probably have 50 to 60 appointments on my calendar a week.
Yeah.
Now, 50% no-show rate, so you're talking to 30.
Right.
And typically it's 30, 40% you'll write.
Yeah.
Numbers check there. But like
Gotcha.
that's kind of...
And that's also something that's a little lower on like in the home, where were you? Probably, I would assume, over 50, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like to be really conservative on the numbers because it changes,
Right.
Week to week. But that's if I can be there,
Yeah.
I'm still in the green. It's functioning.
Absolutely. And it go, back to the quality of business. If you're helping 90% of the people you meet with, some of that business isn't good.
Right.
Because you're just it's not how the numbers work. You're not going to go help out 99% of people you sit down with. You're doing something wrong.
Right.
You know.
Yep. The other thing, so between appointments, when I'm got no-showed, time down, if I got a gap,
Yeah.
like, I'll be honest, there are times that I'm guilty of it, I change the laundry because we work at home. So, like, there's stuff that does pop
Right.
up.
A lot of distractions at home.
There is. There's a lot. But I'll outbound during that time.
Okay.
Follow up with people. Try to keep good track of notes on follow-ups and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, a lot of times folks will say, like, someone says no, or someone says, let me think about it. They ain't buying. It's true.
Yeah.
About 95% of the time. But
Yeah.
there are some people that genuinely do need time to process it.
Right.
I don't count them out. I used to get so mad. I'm like,
Yeah.
he's never going to buy. But then I'm like, I started making a spreadsheet of just people that kind of gauge it.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy, and I call him back. Like I said, when do you want me to call you back? And he'll say, give me till next Tuesday. I'll make a note. And I don't like block an hour off for this guy, but I'll
Right.
give him a call. And if he picks up and he wants to move forward, we move forward.
Yeah.
And I probably helped an extra 20 families this year off that.
Wow.
Off just that. And it didn't take that much time besides me typing a note, and I followed up with them.
Right.
So that's, take that as you will, but
Yeah.
it's worked for me. And then, I mean, when I'm dialing, dude, it's a super, super simple phone script. Like, I try to sound like I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Kind of like that Dom Rogers does a really good job of this.
Yep.
Got some really good training on that. But
Yeah. Dom's great on the phone.
yeah, match people where they are.
Yep.
But it's Mike, it's Tyler, just giving you a call. We got that request you put in for info on, so on and so forth. My job is to get that back to you.
Yeah.
You got 5 minutes now, or did I catch you at a bad time?
No, I got 5 minutes. I'm good.
Cool. And then I'll go right into it. I'll just verify their information,
Yeah.
figure out what they're looking for, why they're looking for it, who's the beneficiary, and then I'll just go into presentation.
Yeah. You do anything like with your credentials, as you mentioned, getting them to trust you, like face to face, it's easier. You can look me in the eye. A lot of times, most people in a few seconds make a snap decision, do I trust this person or not, right?
Sure.
Over the phone, it's a lot different. So do you do anything like send them your credentials? Or?
Yeah, I do. I could do a lot better job of it
Yeah.
more consistently. A lot of times, I feel like I can gauge people pretty well, depending on how closed or open they are
Yeah.
to talking. People that are very closed off, like I do have a link I can send them
Okay.
where I have my own website. They'll go on there. It has all my licensing, all the carriers,
Got it.
literally state specific.
So if you sense like some apprehension or whatnot, you shoot that over to them.
Yeah, like before I get into like once I go over the numbers,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, all right, here's the process of the application. Here's what they're gonna ask for. Send them the link. They'll be able to see my license. They'll even be able to pull up the state-specific website on how to verify me.
Yeah.
I'll do that too. It's got a picture of me and my wife, so
Yeah.
Looks
That's,
like
that
me.
stuff's huge, man.
yeah. But I really could do a better job
Yeah.
consistently doing that. But what I'll do is I'll basically ask them, like, once I figure out they're looking for insurance, I'll say, hey, Mike, are you familiar with the process of getting life insurance?
What do most people say?
A lot of people say, no, not really.
Yeah.
And I'll say, all right, well, here's kind of the way it works. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we underwrite for several different insurance carriers, so all my job to do is figure out what you can qualify for health-wise and try to pair you with the best carrier for your situation.
Yeah.
Sound good? Yep. Now, once we find something that makes sense for you, we will have to submit a request for coverage. Now, the way that works is we have to send an application to the insurance company. Now, they're going to ask you for some fairly personal information, just like the time that you got your car insurance, your health insurance. They will ask for the Social Security number. The reason they need that is to verify you, verify you're a real person, and obviously to check your medical records. They're going to look at the MIB, Medical Information Bureau. It's like a credit reporting agency for your health. That's how they're going to verify you. Secondly, we're going to get beneficiaries, address. They will ask the driver's license number just to make sure you're not a crazy driver, a bunch of DUI, stuff like that. And lastly, they will have to have a payment method on file. Now, nothing's happened today, not until it's approved, but they will ask for account routing information.
Yeah.
That all makes sense?
You do all that before you even. Now, have you shown them prices yet, or
Typically, I'll show prices and then I'll go into that.
then you go into that? Got it.
Because at first, I did that at the beginning, and a lot of people kind of get, whoa.
Yeah,
I don't need this yet.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a waste of breath. And until you actually know if someone's interested in moving forward, then I'll bring that out.
Gotcha.
So that's I struggle with that for
Yeah.
a while. But what also is important about that, and I'll always ask, like, typically, when's a good time for this thing to draft? First or the third of the month, and they'll say third. And I'll say, got it. Do you use like a Navy Fed, Wells Fargo, or who do you bank with?
Yeah.
And like, I'll try to get that out of them to kind of ease it a little bit.
Okay.
But also, it'll tell me, are we using a Direct Express, debit card, or a bank? Because that'll determine which carriers you can go to.
Right.
Because some carriers don't even touch the Direct Express or.
Because the last thing you want to do, whether you're running in-home, virtual, anywhere, is show somebody a product or talk to them about something they can't get.
Yep.
I mean, and we've all made those mistakes. Like, how many times, early on, I'm sitting with a mortgage protection client, and I don't ask the right questions. I'm showing him a 30-year cashback option. Then he's like, yeah, so my heart attack that I had 5 years, you're like, oh, God. And I already showed you this, right? So same thing. If you know they only have Direct Express and you're showing them this carrier, then it comes on to payment. Now you got to backtrack. So, I mean, you need to get that info.
Yep. Quick way to get off the phone. That's
Yeah.
a quick way to go sideways.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's who I am, carrier, why you filled it out,
Yep.
get the why out of them, and then from there, I'll run the numbers, okay? And I use the quoter tool.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Okay.
I always use that. I don't know how I would do this without that.
Yeah.
Because you plug in their health, medications, everything, and it'll tell you which
Just the
carriers.
insurance toolkit or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. That is, we didn't have that in my day, but I've messed around with it now. I'm like, I almost want to get back in the field now. Like all the stuff you guys have.
It's got to have that.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, so I said, run the numbers, and I'll give them like 3 options, 10, 20, 30, or if we're doing term, it's obviously higher amounts.
Yeah.
But I'll say which one of these makes the most sense for, your beneficiary, but most importantly, your budget month to month.
Yeah. When you go over the numbers, do you send them to them? Do you have them write them down, or do you just say it out
Write
loud?
them down.
Yeah.
Yep. Say it out loud, and typically they'll say most people are right in this range.
Got it.
I say we can go higher, we can go lower. Just depends on what your situation is.
Yeah.
Right. And if they say, I want to do the 30, I'm like, all right. And then I go into explaining what the application is going to look like.
Gotcha.
Is that going to be a problem? Because before we would just go through it and we'd get to the social, or we'd get to the account number, and then they would just they'd be like, I'm not giving that.
Gotcha.
So it's like, get it out up front. That way they know it. They know what the process is going to be. They're guided.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, if what you're doing, works, don't change it. Like, we're not saying, hey, you have to do it this. Like, there are some people who do hit them with that first, and it works. But everyone's style is a little different, right? So you tried that didn't work for you, so you switched it around. Obviously, it's working. The numbers say they are, but I mean, don't lose sight of that. Like, we're not saying do exactly this.
Right.
If you're struggling with that payment thing, maybe try this. If you're not, then try some other stuff, Tyson. But
Sure.
You got to find what works for you.
Right. And the other thing too with the underwriting is, like, my phrase, I just said, have you ever had any history, personal history, heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, blood clots, COPD, asthma, anything like that?
Yeah.
And typically if they're like, no, good, I'm like, have you been prescribed like any medication in the last 10 years that you don't take anymore? They'll be like, well, I was, this and that.
Yeah.
Write them down, because, some carriers, they'll go back 10
Absolutely.
years. And if they see a nitroglycerin or something on there, they'll pull it and they'll be like, nope, we ain't taking it.
Right.
And, like, that's one of the quickest ways, again, to lose trust
Absolutely.
over the phone is if you just keep sending people in for declines, and
Right.
they get frustrated, and it
Yeah.
takes time. Right? And the other thing, too, is as I'm talking to them over the phone, I'm gathering all this information, I'm writing it all down, like everything. Like, when they say their address, I'm typing it in on Google. That way, if I can't hear something, at least I have the address up,
Okay.
and it kind of pops up for itself.
Yeah,
And I'll read it back to them, make sure the street address, the name of the street, the city that they're in, I have the legitimate address.
Gotcha.
Right? Birthday, social security number, write that down. Banking, write that down in case it comes back as a decline.
Yeah.
I have it. I don't have to keep asking them for the same info.
Right.
And I do it on paper. That way, when I'm done, I just shred it.
Yeah.
All the information's, gone.
There you go.
So those are some things I've just picked up
Yeah.
over the, and they're small little things,
Yeah.
but
But I think that's usually what it takes. Like if you're, not having the level of success you want, you're not helping as many families as you want to meet your goals, it's usually not a complete overhaul, right? If you're brand new and you're not helping families, then sure. But you've been at this at some time, and let's say you're, I'm stuck at 20 families a month, I want to get to 40. It's usually small tweaks. Mm-hmm. It's usually not a, hey, rehaul your whole sales process. It's, maybe say this before that. Maybe add this little piece here. Maybe, get, like you're talking, maybe write the stuff down so you don't have to go back and fill out an entire app, ask them everything. You still can confirm the stuff. They still got to sign it, but it's the little tweaks. It's like, course correct. And we talking about, fishing in a boat or whatever. Dude, you're off a little degree or two. You're going to be way off your destination by the time you get there. So a lot of times it takes just a small tweak to get you to where you need to be.
For sure. It's the little things.
Yeah.
And another thing that I kind of learned the hard way was when people get declined, you look unprofessional doing it. And obviously there are times when they don't tell you something, or
sure.
Some insurance companies, they really are just kind of weird. Like sometimes I've seen really healthy people just get declined and they have no health problems.
Yep.
But they can get like a fully underwritten product because it's a certain medication, obviously simplified issued. If they see Spiriva, like a COPD medication, and it was used once and she never took it, declined. It's like,
I've had people that they never used, it was just prescribed at one time. Like I remember vividly, it was a client who was diabetic, was taking metformin, and they prescribed them insulin, almost an error, never took it, but it was on his record. Like it took like a month to get a simplified issue policy approved. But you're right, you just never know.
Yep. And if you can kind of, as you do it enough, you'll see kind of the patterns of it.
Yeah.
Kind of where to navigate. But I always tell people too, like, I kind of give them a range, a price range. So when I'm going through it with the quoter tool, I'll basically say, $15,000, it's going to look like it's going to be somewhere between $80 and $110.
Got it.
So give them a range. Does that sound okay? Obviously, we're going to go for the more competitive one right away, but here's your range.
Yeah.
That way, if that first one comes back and no, they already know, hey, we're going to go to somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I try to plant that seed. Hey, Mike, if this thing comes back a no-go, if they come back standard or graded, we're going to go to the next cheapest carrier for you, okay? Mm-hmm. And they like that.
Yeah.
But I plant the seed that way. When it does happen, I already told you.
Right.
So we're on the same team here.
Yeah.
And like, hey, if you're patient with me, I'll be patient with you. I'll work with you, and we're going to find you a home here.
And again, a small tweak makes a big difference, though, because if you tell most clients your premium's going to be $92 a month, then you get declined, and you go, God, the next option is $98. You're like, well, it's only $6 more. Yeah, but you just told them it was going to be X, right? So now they're already looking for a reason to distrust you.
Correct.
They just met you. You call them over the phone. They can't see you. Everyone's used to being scammed, though. So they're looking for a chink in the armor. So I love that. Give them the range, and then when you settle on the policy, you know exactly what. Hey, here's what it came back at. Here's the one you got approved for. That's huge. But it's another small tweak.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Little tiny things.
Yeah.
But can be a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but like I still don't use a script. Like I don't have a process I follow.
Right.
I follow it here, but write it out. Like just write out the process of the conversation, which I'm starting to do.
Yeah.
But like I've never done that.
I go back and forth on that. Like reading it does not work.
Correct.
And that's why I'm always hesitant when people, I'm going to write it out, like, especially new agents. I'm like, no, you're going to read it, and then they're going to know you're reading it, and they're going to hang up on you.
It's more so the process, the times that you ask questions.
Yeah.
Like once you identify who it's for, then it's like transition to underwriting.
Yep.
Dig into that, and just kind of down the line there.
Oh, yeah, you should have that, And hey, even if you have a script, read it before your appointment. Don't read it on your appointment.
Right.
Like same thing with, dialing. We back that, where's your phone script? Can I read it? No, you can just listen to me dial and then do the same thing. What if I don't say exactly the same stuff? That's fine. Can you just sound like me? Can you just be here,
Yeah, and that's another thing too, man. It's a good point. Like, I feel like a lot of these clients, like, they don't want to talk to a robot. Like, they don't want to hear that. They want to hear a human.
Yep.
So, like, even just, like, little pauses, hesitations. Hey, Mike, got this form you filled out online. Looks like you were looking for some info on the life insurance, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It sounds real.
And it's because it is, and I'm being authentic to me speaking to them.
Right.
Like I'm not perfect, but like I'm okay making mistakes on the phones, and even like texting back and forth with some of these clients. Like it's okay. Like I almost like to have like an error on my spelling, just because it makes you human,
right?
And it's not this like perfectly scripted.
Yeah, it looks like you copied and pasted from the company's handbook, right?
Exactly.
Here's the text you send when you're talking about mortgage protection. Here's the one for final. Like it shouldn't feel that way,
right?
And you're right. They're looking for the opposite. They're not looking for you to, hey, Mr. Sagal, this is Mike calling you today about a life insurance inquiry you processed online several days. Like, huh?
Right.
Hey, man, I'll get back to you about when you filled out online. What thing was it? Oh, the life insurance stuff you were looking into? Remember that?
Yeah.
You don't? I get a lot of them anyways. Like, just, you sound like a real person.
Human.
Yeah. And you do, like, you should sound like you have the amount of clients to reach out to that you do. Like, you got 50, 60 appointments. You should sound like you have 50 appointments. Don't sound like you have one appointment. You're like, what if I have one appointment? Then act like you don't. First of all, get more, but then pretend like you have a lot more first.
Right.
Fake it till you make it, I guess. But I think that's key. Like you said earlier, being that busy, right? Like I think that's key to it as well.
Yeah, and what I noticed too, a lot of people attest to this. At least a lot of the top producers is it's like exponential. Like it's always kind of like your lead spend. Like from what I've seen, it's typically if you want to help 40 families a month, you're probably going to want to be looking at a lead spend of between 8 to 10 a month.
Yeah,
like that's
what you've done.
Pretty standard. It's kind of how my numbers have always kind of reflected that.
Right.
But it's crazy because the second you start to kind of tier up, keep going up, it's like this number now becomes a 6 or 7x.
Yeah, it's not like you got to double it to do more.
Yes.
It's kind of exponential. Yeah.
Correct.
And everyone's number is different. You may go, hey, I spend 5 and I did sure, but figure out, I guess the point is figure out what your number is. Figure out how much you need to spend on leads to help X amount of families because it's going to be different for everyone. But once you know that, then you know how to scale it.
Yep.
Right?
And it's like a perfect blend too. Like when you get it to the sweet spot,
yeah.
I could say it is when you have enough people to talk to, you're busy enough, you're not like, have commission breath. You're
right.
You're talking to people. It's like once you get in harmony there, dude, it's fun.
Yeah.
Because then you're talking to people that want your help. I seriously love conversation with some of these clients just all over the country, and I'll always bring up NFL or whatever I can communicate with, and I just love to get people laughing, having a good time on the phone, and help them to get insurance. And because a lot of people persistency over the phone tends to be a little bit lower. I'm opposite of that.
Really?
I think my persistency's better
wow.
over the phone, which is
why do you think that is?
Well, I think part of it is because I've been really competitive rate wise. I try to get people set up so no one can come behind me. And
gotcha.
That's one of the most frustrating things for me was, in general, you do all the hard work, you talk to them, you drove out their house, and then someone comes behind you and you've already done the sale.
Right.
Right. Just so being competitive so that no one can come and price beat you.
Yeah.
But two, what I did at first over the phone is a lot of our carriers will just approve right away. You get a notification saying you're approved.
Yeah.
A lot of times I don't tell clients that.
Okay.
If it comes back approved, I'm well, it's still got to go to the company.
Yeah.
Usually I'll find out in a day or two. Sometimes I'll hear back this afternoon, depending on when I helped them. So I always like to say, all right, Mike, so what you can expect here, I'm going to reach out to you once I get the policy number, once I hear back from them. I'm going to shoot you a text with all that information once I receive it. And I'm also going to give you a call, letting you know.
Gotcha.
So save my number in your phone, Tyler, insurance guy, and I'll call you as soon as I find something out.
Yeah.
And then if it's early in the morning, I'll call them that afternoon. Say, hey.
So you call all your clients?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, have to.
Right.
It's if you can.
Well, I ask because there's agents that sell a lot. There's agents that produce more than you and don't call their clients.
Yes.
And how is that
But typically they'll have an admin or a VA follow up with them. I don't have that yet. I'm not doing that. So I don't have my admin call them. I just have her make sure everything's going through. Yeah. But yes, definitely.
I mean, someone needs to call them, and that, I mean, it's crazy. I've people, hey, my quality of business is low. I'm like, well, who calls your clients after that? No one. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Explain to me how that makes any sense. First of all, you're telesales. You're not in the home. They never see you. You have this one phone call. You expect what's your average appointment? How long does it take?
Probably 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So you expect to spend 30 minutes with someone, never talk to them again, and they're going to keep your policy for the life of it, and they're just going to love you so much because you were so great in those 30 minutes. Like,
Right.
You have to reach back out. You have to. Alex Valencia, I don't know if you know him. He does a lot of virtual sales, not virtual. He sends his clients a cloth, like a glass cleaner, right? A little cloth that has his name on it, phone number, agency logo, like a week after their policy's been issued.
Nice.
Then I forget the exact time frame. I think it's once it's a month on the books, he sends them like this nice pen that's a stylus. It has a light, like has his name, just so they get him a little gift to think of him again, but also has his name and number on it so you can, oh, wait, this is my insurance guy. Like it puts it back in their mind, and he calls them. So it's like those types of things. Again, small tweaks. So how long does it take to call your client and say, hey, you got to prove your premium's coming out tomorrow?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. You know, why write a lot of business? Okay, well, you help 10 people, 2 minutes, 20 minutes. Last time I checked, 24 hours every day, right? So you could spare that. And for what it gets you, like if that helps keep 20% more policies on the books, well, that's more families with life insurance, and that's less chargebacks. I think it's worth the 20 minutes.
Right.
And if you absolutely can't, you're so busy can't do it, like you said, hire an assistant or a VA to do it, something.
For sure.
You know, that's huge. What about anything else on your process, Ty?
Honestly, no, from getting a bunch of leads,
Yeah.
a bunch of licensing. And obviously don't have to, with the CRM now, I mean, and some of these Facebook companies, like you can just get, state specific.
Absolutely.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah. I love what you said, too, about the opt-in, though, because that's the key. Like, do we care if you get leads outside of our CRM? No, not at all, as long as they're compliant. Like, why do we push the CRM? Because those leads are compliant. But if you go, I have these leads, they're compliant. If you have any questions about it, let us know. If you have a lead source, you go, I want to check this one out, talk to our lead department. We can have someone vet them, because the last thing you want to do is use a lot of non-compliance leads and then get screwed. Like, get one client, you do something wrong and the lead's non-compliant, that's not on us, that's on you. So if and I love that they have the opt-in, but you've done the research to know what a compliant lead is so that you're not getting yourself in any mess when you're dealing with clients.
For sure. Yep.
That's huge. Well, is there one thing, like looking back now, you've been, telesales for a couple of years now, you've done the in-home deal. If there's something that, knowing what you know now about telesales, what's something you wish you knew before you transition into it that maybe you could?
Have to have a CRM.
Yeah.
Not even a question.
Did you try it without?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like last year I was doing a lot of direct mail, final expense over the phone. And I had no sort of system to where I could process and efficiently reach out to these people. It's manual, like write the last 4 digits on the top of their card, file them like this. That way, if they call back, I know who it is.
Yeah.
Pulling it that way, it's just not efficient.
No.
CRM that can reach out to people, get them on their calendar, pre-booked appointments. Dialer was the second thing.
Yeah.
Dialer, admin, whoever it can be to help get people on your calendar so that you can be doing what your job is. Well, those are the big ones.
Well, there you go. The biggest thing, don't even start unless you have a CRM. Something
to organize and process it.
Not the folder system with the numbers, because after about 2 weeks, I'd imagine it gets a little hectic.
I was doing it for too long. I'm like, this cannot be right.
Like week 1, you help like 10 families. Okay, I can manage this. But after a few weeks, when there's 40, 50 sheets in there, you're like, oh, God, where's this guy's number? Mm-hmm. But, you're at CRM. You just type in the number. It's there. Yep. There's plenty of tools out there.
Yeah, and also some sort of dialer. Yeah. Obviously, you got to be compliant there, too. But,
absolutely.
Something there to maximize, the amount of people that you can reach.
Yeah. Awesome, dude.
That's the biggest piece.
Well, it's great stuff, dude. Love you for sharing. Appreciate everything you shared. And guys, if like Ty said, if what you're doing is working, don't change anything. If it's not, change something. Like I had someone up here a couple months ago, and like Sean gave me the best business advice ever. He said, if it's working, keep doing it. If it's not, change it. But it is that simple, right? Like in business in general, if it's working, let's keep going with it. If it's not, let's tweak something. And same thing here. So I appreciate you coming and sharing, dude. This is good stuff. Yeah. And guys, hit the subscribe button. Let us know, and let us if you've transitioned from in-home to sales. Let us know how that worked, and let us know what you used from Ty's training here and how it helped you. But CRM, massive amount of leads, stack the deck in your favor. You're not going to have a successful week with 5 appointments. 50, 60 is a 50% show rate, and you said about a 30% closing rate, pretty much. Those are Ty's numbers. Figure out what yours are so you can help scale your own business. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Inside the Sale right here on TNL.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Next week on Tuesday at 8 a.m., we have True Talk with David Pania. And on Friday at 11 a.m., we're once again here on the Next Level Live with Shannon Womble for Inside the Sale. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out. We'll see you all next week.